Hi everyone, on today's video I'm going to be making a scrapbooking layout for my vacation that I just came back from. I spent a week in Jamaica with my husband, so you'll see here that I'm just starting to lay out and arrange my photos to kind of decide how I want to position them. The paper that I'm using today is from a Martha Stewart collection called Playful Blue Paper Pack. Right now I've just cut down the polka dot print to 5.5 by 11 7/8. So it's just slightly smaller than a 12 by 12, which gives me the nice trim. And now I'm laying down my photos again to confirm that I like the layout. Now I wanted to kind of back up some of my photos, so I decided to use this Recollection shimmer paper to see if it would contrast well against the backdrop of my photos. I also brought in this chevron paper. The chevron paper is from the Pepples Seen and Noted paper pack. I also decided to use the Me and My Big Ideas 8x8 Destination Paradise paper pack, and that's where you'll see this leaf pattern come from. So I'm also framing that out with white Recollection paper, and then I'm going to lay out my photos again to see if I like the new backdrop. You'll notice that I got rid of the silver Recollections paper because I wasn't quite happy with the way it looked. So I've also decided to trim out one of my smaller photos with another paper from the Martha Stewart Playful Blue paper pack. Now that I've trimmed it down a little bit to give myself a nice border, I'm going to start gluing the layout partially together. I'm really hesitant to glue down my layouts right at the beginning because I often change my mind. So I pretty much finish them and then take them all apart and glue everything down again. And I do a lot of placing of my photos to kind of see if I like the background. I noticed at this point that my photo was a little bit too long, so I decided to trim a little bit off, and I trimmed up the background to match it. Now I wanted to make a tag for my layout, so I pulled together 3 stamp sets. So in order to do this, I wanted to use some dies, some circle dies from Sizzik. I think I'm using the 1 inch and the 1.5 inch die. So now I realized that I wanted to keep it a very monotone on tone layout, so I realized I wanted to use that same blue from the Martha Stewart Playful Blue paper. However, I didn't have any more, so I decided I was going to cut out the center of my backdrop page just so that I could take out a small piece, and really it wasn't going to be seen. Now I'm using my ink swatches to kind of pick the ink colors that I'm going to use to do my stamping. So I ended up using the Stampin' Up! Bermuda Bay ink, which is the darker of the two, as well as the Stampin' Up! Pool Party ink. The stamp set I'm using 2 actually, are the Hampton Arts You and Me stamp set and the Close to My Heart Who's Your Valentine stamp set. So the sentiment is from the You and Me stamp set, and I went ahead and stamped that down and then stamped my XOXO ring around it in Pool Party, and then placed the 2 within the double dies that I had cut. So the dies were taped together and cut so that the center die was slightly off center, just for a little bit of added detail and interest. So I hold the whole thing together with washi tape, and now I'm just trying to figure out where on my layout I want to position it. So I try a few different areas before I decide to keep it in the center. Now I'm just deciding to work on my title, And I've cut a piece of vellum using the same Sizzik Circle Die. Now I'm going to try and do the spacing for my lettering, and I usually do this on a piece of acetate and then press everything down and transfer it onto my backdrop. This way I get to see what the letters look like without actually sticking them down and having to peel them back up to rearrange them. So the letters that I'm using today are Fiskars in the hardcover font. And I'm using that to spell out my title, which is just simply going to be Jamaica 2004. I think this is going to be the title scrapbooking layout for my vacation. So I'm just keeping it pretty simple. Now I'm going to put my vellum piece down and place the mock layout of letters over top, and I'm kind of thinking it blends a little bit too much. So now I'm going to try and use a basic gray chipboard in this green color to see if it gives it a nice contrast. And after trying it out on the acetate, I kind of like this look better than the turquoise. So I decided to go with the green. So now I've pressed them down onto my vellum piece, and I'm just going over or around the edges of the vellum with a white gel pen, just to kind of define the edges of the vellum. And I'm going to end up placing it in the lower right hand corner, kind of overlapping my photos. Next, I decide that maybe I want a little bit of contrast in the back of the square piece. So I put in another green piece of paper from the Martha Stewart paper pack that I was using, and take off the backing, the green backing on my one photo. Now I'm using a heart from the Who's Your Valentine's Close to My Heart stamp set and placing that over my vellum title. For my journaling, I kind of wanted to have it be a little translucent and not as noticeable, so I again printed this on vellum and in a gray font to minimize the harshness of the letters. Black was a little bit too strong. Now I'm using an embellishment from Recollections Simply Pastel collection, and I'm covering up the heart that I stamped just because the color wasn't quite what I was looking for. Now there's also some other wood veneer embellishments that these arrows that I'm placing from the same Simply Pastel Recollections embellishments. So I'm just trying to find the right locations for them. And I'm going to also add some flare badges, which are also from the same collection. Now for a little bling, I'm going to add some rhinestones in my 3 sort of embellishment areas, so by the flare button and by my 2 arrows. I moved the rhinestones onto the arrows because I liked the look of it. Then I'm going to add these enamel dots also beside my arrows to kind of fill in the space. And I'm going to do that by my flare button as well. Now I'm going to try and I'll glue the wood veneer down with some glossy accents. And I do that for both arrows just because the glossy accents tends to be a strong adhesive and works well for keeping these 3-dimensional pieces down on the paper. I do go back and put another rhinestone on top of my journaling, and this helps to hide the adhesive because I needed to have a way of gluing that vellum down. And that pretty much completes my layout. Thank you for watching, and please comment and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.